Hi, welcome back to the workshop for episode 7 of the Rickenbacker 12 string build. And I've had a little bit of a break for Christmas, so there hasn't been a huge amount of progress, but I have snuck down the shed on a couple of occasions and done a few little bits and pieces. Firstly, I got all of the tuners fitted to the headstock, make sure all of that was working properly, which it is, and then I took them all off again. But I now know that they all fit properly and all the holes and everything are drilled, ready to go when we get to that point. But with that done, I can now put the through neck section of this to one side and we can actually start to do some work on the body. Now, as I've mentioned before, I've actually got this nice piece of mahogany to do the back of the body wings with, and then we're going to be putting a flamey maple drop top on. It's not wildly flamey, but there is a nice bit of figure in that wood, so hopefully should look good. Now, in stock form, the wings and the rest of the guitar body are actually quite thin. They're about 32 millimeters. So if you were to compare that to a Telecaster, which is about 44 mil thick, it's actually about half an inch thinner than you would expect an electric guitar to be. However, that's what it says on the plan, so that's what we're working to. I did toy with the idea of making it a little bit thicker just to counteract all the weight that's on that headstock and perhaps make it a little less neck heavy. But having thought about it, that is actually quite a complicated task because the top of the body, which is this plane here, kind of has to be set in relation to where the fingerboard is. So to make it thicker, I'd actually have to be adding material onto the back face of the guitar, which I don't want to do. So we're going with the stock thickness, which, as I said, is 32 millimeters. But we obviously need to take a little bit of thickness off to allow for the drop top. Now, normally I'd do drop tops at 6 mil, but on this occasion I'm going to make it slightly thinner and I'm going to go for a 4 millimeter top. So that means at some point we're going to have to take a little bit more material off this area here just to allow room for that drop top to go in, but it won't be a big deal. It's just a case of getting it through the bandsaw again. However, that's in the future. For the time being, we need to concentrate on these wings, which are going to have to be 28 millimeters thick. Now, as you can probably see there, this is substantially thicker than 28 millimeters. So we're going to have to run this through the thicknesser to get it down to the size we want, which isn't a massive deal. But before we do that, I just want to cut it down to length so I'm not kind of thicknessing the whole slab, because I might be able to use some of that wood for something else in the future. So I think to start with, we'll just kind of work out how much we need of this board, making sure we've got plenty of spare, somewhere about there. So to start with, we'll just cut this off with a handsaw along this line and get this bit through the thicknesser until we achieve just a little bit more than that 28 mil that we want. All right, so I know I've been saying it for about the last 18 months, but I really do need to get some new blades into that thicknesser. They are really, really dull. However, we have managed to get this down to kind of just a hair over 29 millimeters. So that gives us a little bit over a mil to play with once we've got these shaped in. So next up, it's literally just a case of getting these marked up with the templates, getting them over to the bandsaw and getting them roughed out. Okay, so there's the two halves rough shaped. We've cut them out on the bandsaw, got them to the disc sander, which is quite blunt, like everything else in this workshop it would appear, but we've got them somewhere near shape, and then we've just got them on the bobbin sander to get these little kind of inner curves done. So next up, as always, get these templates on with some super glue and masking tape, get the router out with a flush trim bit, and just go around here and just clean that final little bit of material off so we can get them absolutely spot on. Okay, and there's the two halves of the body cut and shaped. I think that's gone really well and they are looking very nice. You might have noticed that when I was routing these, I kind of went down very gently in like 3mm increments, just to make sure that I wasn't taking off too much material at any one time and it's not going to dig in and cause any damage. And as you can see, that's kind of worked really nicely. I've given them a quick sand up, but nothing more than that. And if I bring in the neck blank, we can kind of start to get an idea of what this thing's going to look like. And I think that looks really, really nice. So with that out of the way, I'll just do a quick update on where we are in terms of the project. Now, cost, I haven't actually spent any money for a little while. The two carbon fibre rods that I put in came to me by way of a friend. I used to work in the industry, so still got some contacts, so that was handy. Probably would have been around about the £20 mark for those two rods, so that was a little bit of a saving. So the cost is still at £121 so far. So in terms of time spent, I was at 12 hours last time I reported it. Fitting the 2 carbon fibre rods took about 2 hours, and that included fitting the wings for the headstock. Doing the work on the headstock to actually fit the tuners and everything was an additional 3 hours, which was a little bit less than I spent when I did the prototype. So that's one of the benefits of prototyping. And getting this material prepped up, cut out, shaped and everything for the 2 body wings has taken me a further 3 hours. So in total, we're at 20 hours build time, or thereabouts. But quickly speaking of costs, I did mention a few episodes ago that I was going to go with the actual Rickenbacker hardware for this build, which was going to be a little bit more money than I would usually spend. I was delighted a few days ago when I woke up and checked the comments to see that one of my viewers had gifted me through the super thanks feature quite a substantial amount of money, which will go a long way towards offsetting those additional costs. So thank you very much for that, Jimmy. It is very much appreciated and it will be put to good use. So the next step on this is to actually get to work on the top for this thing. And obviously we need to thin down this central section. But I think we've done enough for this episode, so I'll leave that for next time. But as always, smash that like button if you enjoyed this. Subscribe if you haven't already done so. And I'll look forward to seeing you next time. Thanks a lot for watching. Bye-bye.